Alara walked. Sun was warm. She saw a small house. House was old. An old woman sat outside. Woman looked sad. Alara stopped. Hello, Alara said. Woman looked up. Hello, woman said. Her voice was soft. Alara saw a broken fence. Fence was around the garden. Flowers looked dry. I can help, Alara said. Woman smiled a little. Alara found wood. She found tools. She worked on the fence. Sun went down. Fence was new. Woman stood up. Thank you, woman said. Her eyes were happy. Alara smiled. She watered the dry flowers. Flowers drank water. Woman gave Alara a cup of tea. Tea was warm. Alara felt good. Alara left the next morning. Woman waved. Alara waved back. A small mark. A new fence. Happy old woman. Alara walked more. She came to a village. Village was quiet. Children played in a field. Field had no toys, no swing, no slide. Alara watched them. Children ran. They laughed. She thought, they need a park, a happy place. Alara talked to people. She talked to parents. Parents listened. We need wood, Alara said. We need paint. People helped. Men brought wood. Women brought food. Alara drew a plan. A slide here. A swing there. A big sandbox. Days passed. Alara worked very hard. People worked with her. They built a swing. They built a slide. They made a sandbox. Children came. Their eyes were wide. A park. They cried. They ran to the swings. They went up, then down. They slid fast. Parents watched. They smiled. Alara felt a warm feeling. The park was ready. Children played every day. Village was not quiet now. It was full of happy sounds. Alara decided to leave. People came to say goodbye. Thank you, Alara, a father said. You gave us joy. Alara hugged a child. Child had a big smile. Another mark. A park of happy sounds. Children remember. Alara went to a big city. City was busy. Many cars. Many tall buildings. She saw many people. Some looked fast. Some looked lost. Alara walked past a big building. It was a library. But it looked old. Books inside were old. Some were torn. Children, read quietly. A librarian worked there. She looked tired. Her name was Maria. Alara talked to Maria. The library needs new books, Alara said. Yes, Maria sighed. But we have no money. Alara thought. She had an idea. We can ask people. Alara made small signs. New books for library, she wrote. She put signs in shops. She talked to shop owners. Some people gave money. Some people gave old books. Good books. Alara sorted the books. She cleaned the old library shelves. Maria helped. Other people from the city came. They gave time. Slowly, the library changed. New books arrived. Old books were fixed. The walls got new paint. Chairs were fixed. It was brighter now. Children came. They saw new books. Their faces lit up. They picked books. They read. They learned new things. Maria smiled a lot now. Alara, she said, you saved our library. Alara felt happy. She saw children reading. This was good. She stayed in the city for a few months. She helped more. She organized a story time. Children loved stories. She taught some adults to read. They were very thankful. When Alara left, Maria gave her a book. For you, she said. A mark of knowledge. Books and stories shared. Minds growing. Alara journeyed to a quiet area. There were many farms. Farmers worked hard, but the land was dry. Not enough water. Their plants were small. Their food was not much. Alara saw this. She felt sad for the farmers. She remembered a book from the library. A book about water. It talked about collecting rain. Making a path for water. Alara talked to a farmer. His name was Ben. We can catch rain, Alara said. Ben looked confused. How? He asked. Rain comes, then it goes. Alara showed him a drawing. A big tank. Paths from roofs to tank. Ben understood. It was a good idea. But it was hard work. Alara helped Ben. They built a big tank. They made pipes. When rain came, water went into the tank. Tank became full. Now Ben had water for his plants. He had water for his animals. Other farmers saw this. They came to Ben's farm. How did you do this? They asked. Alara explained. She drew more pictures. She helped more farmers. Soon, many farms had water tanks. The land was less dry. Plants grew bigger. Farmers had more food. They were happy. They had enough for their families. They had some to sell. Life was better. Alara saw fields of green. It was a beautiful sight, a mark of life. Water brought to dry land. Food for all. Alara walked to the mountains. Air was cool. Trees were tall. She saw a small village in the mountains. Houses were far apart. People there were friendly, but they had a problem. The path to the next village was dangerous. Rocks fell. Children needed to go to school in the next village. Old people needed to go to the market. It was a long, unsafe path. People were scared. Alara saw a way. We can build a better path, she said. A strong, safe path. With a small bridge over the stream. The villagers agreed, but it was big work. Very big work. Alara organized everyone. Young men carried rocks. Strong women moved dirt. Alara planned the path. She made it wide. She made it steady. They worked every day. Sun, rain, cold wind. They kept working. They built a small bridge. It was strong. It was safe. After many weeks, the path was done. It was smooth. It was safe. Children walked to school. They did not fear. Old people went to market. They walked easily. The villages were closer now. People visited more. They felt safer. A village elder came to Alara. You gave us safety, he said. A mark of connection. A safe path. Villages together. Alara traveled near the sea. The air smelled of salt. Birds flew high. She saw a small fishing village. Houses were close to the water. The people here loved the sea. But the sea had problems. Rubbish was on the beach. Fish were less. The water was dirty. Alara felt sad. The beautiful sea was sick. She talked to the fishermen. The sea needs help, she said. We must clean the beach, Alara told them. We must protect the fish. Some fishermen understood. Others did not. It is too big, they said. Alara started alone. She picked up rubbish. One piece, then another. Soon, a child came. Then another child. They helped. Alara. Then mothers came. Then some fishermen came. More and more people helped. They picked up bottles. They picked up bags. The beach became cleaner. Alara talked about not throwing rubbish into the sea. People listened. She also talked about fishing. Do not take too many small fish, she said. Let them grow big. Then there will be more fish for tomorrow. The villagers learned. They saw the clean beach. They saw more fish. The sea became healthier. The village became prouder. Alara taught children about the sea. About its animals. About its plants. Children learned to love the sea more. To protect it. When Alara left, the village chief gave her a shell. A gift from the sea, he said. A mark of care. A clean sea. Life for fish and people. Alara went to a quiet town. It was a town of artists. They painted beautiful pictures. They made pretty things from wood. But the town had no place to show their art. No gallery. Artists kept their art in their homes. People did not see it. Alara saw a big, old empty building. It used to be a shop. This can be a gallery, Alara thought. A place for art. She talked to the artists. They were excited, but they had no money. Alara knew how to get help. She talked to the town mayor. The town needs a gallery, she said. Art makes life beautiful. The mayor listened. He liked art. He said he would help with paint. Artists came together. They cleaned the old building. Alara helped paint walls white. White walls make art look good. They put up lights. They made small stands for statues. After many days, the gallery was ready. It was simple. It was nice. The artists put their best art there. Pictures, statues, carved wood. The opening day came. Many people came. They saw the art. Beautiful, they said. Wonderful. Artists were very happy. They sold some art. They felt proud. The gallery became a happy place. People came to see art. Children came to draw. Old people came to talk about art. Alara felt joy. She saw the beauty that was hidden. Now it was open. When Alara left the town, artists gave her a special painting. It was a painting of the gallery. And a small figure of Alara, a mark of beauty. Art shared. Joy for many. Alara journeyed to a cold place. Snow was on the ground. Trees were bare. She saw a small village. Houses were made of wood. Smoke came from chimneys. People here worked hard. They farmed in summer. They made clothes in winter. But the winter was very long. And very cold. Old people felt the cold badly. They needed warm clothes. Alara saw an old woman. Her coat was thin. She shivered. We need warm clothes for the old people, Alara thought. She talked to the women of the village. Can we knit? She asked. Yes, they said. We know how to knit. But we need wool. Alara went to a bigger town nearby. She talked to a shop owner. We need wool for old people, she explained. For warm clothes. The shop owner was kind. He gave some wool. Not much, but some. Alara bought more wool with her own money. She brought the wool to the village. Women started to knit. They knitted hats. They knitted scarves. They knitted gloves. Alara also learned to knit. Her fingers were slow at first. Then faster. They made many warm things. Hats, scarves, gloves, thick socks. They gave them to the old people. Old people smiled. They felt warm. Thank you, Alara, an old man said. Now I can go outside. Winter was still long, but the old people felt better. They felt cared for. Alara felt warm inside her heart. She saw the old people happy. When Alara left, the women gave her a knitted scarf. It was very warm. A mark of warmth. Clothes for the cold. Care for the old. Alara walked to a big forest. Trees were everywhere. Animals lived there. She saw many cut trees. Some people cut too many trees. The forest looked empty in some places. Animals had no home. Alara felt sad. The beautiful forest was getting small. She talked to some villagers near the forest. We need trees, she said. We must plant new trees, Alara told them. For the forest. For animals. Some people agreed. They knew the forest was important. Alara found small tree plants. She showed villagers how to plant them. It was hard work. Digging holes. Putting small trees in. Watering. They worked for many days. They planted hundreds of small trees. Alara taught children about trees. Trees give us air, she said. Trees are home for birds. Trees are important for our earth. Children helped plant trees. They loved putting small trees in the ground. The forest slowly started to grow again in those places. Animals came back. Birds made nests in new trees. It was a slow change. But it was a start. A good start. Alara felt hope. The forest would be big again. When Alara left, the villagers promised to keep planting trees. A mark of green. New trees for the forest. A future for life. Alara traveled to a big town. It was a market town. Full of noise and people. She saw many vendors. They sold food, clothes, and many things. But she saw some young people. They had no work. They looked bored. They sat on benches. They had nothing to do. Alara remembered her skills. She knew how to build things. These young people need a purpose, Alara thought. They need skills. She talked to them. Do you want to learn to build? She asked. Some were interested. What can we build? A young man asked. We can build small tables, Alara said. We can build strong chairs. Alara found old wood. She showed them how to use tools. It was hard at first. Their hands were new to hammers and saws. Alara was patient. She taught them carefully. Step by step. They learned to cut wood straight. They learned to nail pieces together. They built small tables. They built sturdy chairs. They painted them in bright colors. They looked good. Alara helped them sell their tables and chairs at the market. People liked them. They bought them. The young people felt proud. They had money. They had skills. They had work. They started a small workshop. They made more things. Alara saw them working with smiles. They were busy. They were happy. When Alara left, the young people gave her a small, carved wooden bird. A mark of skill, work and purpose found. New lives built. Alara came to a quiet lake. The water was clear. Fish swam. But near the lake, she saw a old, quiet building. No one used it. It was an old school. But now it was empty. No children. The town had a new school. But the old one stood empty. Alara thought, this old school can be a community center. A place for everyone. For talks. For games. For learning. She talked to the townspeople. The old school needs a new life, she said. Some people remembered the old school with love. They wanted to help. Alara organized them. They cleaned the rooms. They fixed the windows. They brought old tables and chairs. They made a small kitchen. It became a warm, friendly place. A place for people to meet. Old people came to talk. Mothers came with small children to play. Alara taught some English classes. Adults came to learn. They had game nights. They had music nights. The center was alive. The town felt more connected. People knew each other better. They shared stories. They shared food. They laughed a lot. Alara felt very happy. She saw the community grow stronger. When Alara left, the town mayor gave her a key. For this center, he said. A mark of community. A meeting place. Hearts. Connected. Alara walked to a dry land. The sun was hot. Sand was everywhere. She saw a small group of people. They moved from place to place. They looked for water. They looked for food. Life was hard. Alara talked to them. Their chief was a wise old man. We need a place to stay, he said. A place with water. Alara remembered the water tanks. But here, there was no rain. She thought about deep water. Water under the ground. We can dig a well, Alara suggested. For water. The chief looked hopeful. We tried, he said. But it is deep. Alara knew it was hard. But it was important. She gathered people. They started to dig. Day after day. The sun was hot. Their hands were tired. But they kept digging. Alara dug with them. She encouraged them. One day, they heard a sound. Water. They dug. More. Clear water came out. Cold and fresh. People cheered. They had water. They could build houses near the well. They built small, strong houses. They planted some plants. A small village started to grow in the dry land. They did not need to move anymore. They had a home. Alara saw their happy faces. Children played near the well. A mark of home. Water found. A village born. Alara traveled near a big road. Cars went very fast. She saw a school near the road. Children walked to school. It was dangerous. Cars did not stop. No safe place to cross. Parents worried. Teachers worried. Alara saw the danger. We need a safe crossing, she thought. A light, or a sign, something to make cars stop. She talked to the school principal. The children are not safe, Alara said. The principal agreed. But who can help? She asked. Alara went to the road department. She talked to the road workers. She explained about the children. About the fast cars. They listened. They understood. Safety was important. They came to the school. They painted lines on the road. They put up a stop sign for children. A sign that flashed. Now, when children crossed, cars stopped. It was safe. Parents felt relief. Teachers felt relief. Children walked happily. Alara stood by the road. She watched children cross. She smiled. A mark of safety. Children cross safely. Worries gone. Alara came to a small island. It was beautiful. Many trees. Blue water. People lived there. They lived a simple life. But they had no way to talk to other islands. No quick way. Letters came slowly. News was old when it arrived. Alara thought about connection. About fast talk. We need a way to communicate, Alara said. A small radio station. The islanders looked confused. Radio? They asked. How? Alara explained. A small radio. It can send and get sounds. She knew a little about radios. Not much, but enough to start. She ordered parts from the mainland. It took time. When parts arrived, Alara and some islanders started to build. It was like a puzzle. Wires. Small pieces. A big antenna. After many days, the radio was ready. They turned it on. Hello, mainland, Alara said into the microphone. A voice came back. Hello, island. It was a miracle. Islanders cheered. They heard their friends. They heard news. They could ask for help if needed. They could share stories. The island was not alone anymore. It was connected. Alara taught islanders how to use the radio. How to send messages. When Alara left, the island chief gave her a special shell necklace. A mark of voice. Connection made. Island not alone. Alara walked to a big, old town. The houses were close together. Many old people lived there. They lived alone. Alara saw them. They looked lonely sometimes. They had no one to talk to. No one to help them with small things. Old people need company, Alara thought. They need friends. She talked to some young people in the town. Can you visit old people? She asked. Can you talk to them? Some young people were shy. but some said yes. Alara showed them how to listen, how to be kind. Young people started visiting. They brought flowers. They read books. They helped with small tasks. Carrying bags. Fixing lights. Old people looked forward to visits. They smiled more. They told stories to the young people. Stories of the old town. Young people learned from old people. Old people felt happy. It was a beautiful thing. Generations connected. Alara saw an old woman laugh with a young boy. It made her heart full. When Alara left, the old woman gave her a small, old photo. A mark of friendship. Young and old together. No more lonely. Alara journeyed to a green valley. Rivers flowed. Birds sang. But the river was sometimes too strong. It flooded fields. Farmers lost their crops. Their homes got wet. Alara saw the damage. She felt the farmers' sadness. She thought about the river. We need to control the river, she thought. Make it flow well. Not too fast, not too slow. She talked to the farmers. We can build small barriers, Alara said, to guide the water, to make it safe. It was a big project. Stones were heavy. Digging was hard. Alara found strong men. They moved big stones. They built walls. They made the river banks stronger. They made small channels for water. When the heavy rains came, the river rose. But it stayed in its path. Fields were safe. Houses were safe. Farmers cheered. They did not lose their crops this year. They had food. The valley was green and safe. People worked with peace. Alara saw the river flowing gently. It was a good sight. When Alara left, the farmers gave her fresh food from their fields. A mark of control. River tamed. Fields and homes safe. Alara walked to a very poor village. Houses were very simple. Children wore old clothes. They looked hungry. There was no clean water here. People got sick often. Alara felt her heart hurt. They need basic things. She thought. Clean water. Good food. Simple health care. She talked to the village chief. Your people are sick, Alara said. Yes, he replied. We have no clean water. Alara remembered her well-digging experience. She organized the villagers. They started to dig a new well. It was hard, but they knew it was for life. They found clean water. They built a strong well. Now, people had clean water. They got sick less often. Alara also helped them start a small garden. For good food, she taught them about hygiene. Washing hands. Keeping clean. The village slowly got better. Children looked healthier. Parents smiled more. Life was still hard, but it was better. Alara felt a deep satisfaction. She saw life returning. When Alara left, the children gave her drawings. Drawings of water. A mark of health. Clean water. Healthy lives. Alara traveled to a big forest again. But this time it was different. This forest had many fires. Bad fires. Many trees burned. Animals ran away. People were sad and scared. Alara saw the burnt trees. It was a sad sight. We need to protect the forest from fire, Alara decided. She talked to the forest rangers. How can we stop fires? Rangers said. People are careless. Fires start small. Alara knew the answer was education. Teaching people. She made simple posters. No fire in forest. Be careful. She talked to villagers near the forest. Fires hurt everyone, she said. She showed them how to make small fire breaks. Clear paths. They worked together. They cleared dry leaves and branches. They made observation points. Places to watch for smoke. People became more careful. They understood the danger. Fewer fires started. The forest began to heal. New green shoots came from the burnt ground. Animals slowly returned. Alara saw the forest slowly coming back to life. When Alara left, a ranger gave her a small, healthy tree seedling. A mark of protection. Forest saved. Nature healing. Alara went to a big town with many businesses. Many shops. She saw people working hard. But some people had no food. They lived on the streets. They looked thin and cold. Alara's heart felt heavy. These people need food, she thought. They need a warm meal. She talked to some shop owners. Can you help? She asked. Can you give food that you don't sell? Some owners said no, but some said yes. Kind owners. They gave bread. They gave fruits. They gave hot soup. Alara helped organize a kitchen. A simple kitchen in an old church hall. Volunteers came. They cooked food. They served it, with a smile. Every evening, the hungry people came. They got a warm meal. They felt cared for. They felt human. Alara talked to them. She listened to their stories. She tried to help them find small jobs. Find a place to sleep. It was slow work, but some people found jobs. Some found beds. The town had a problem. But now it had a solution. A warm meal. Alara saw smiles on sad faces. This was a good mark. When Alara left, a homeless man gave her a small, clean rock, a mark of compassion, food for the hungry, hope for the lost. Alara traveled to a big city again. Different city. She saw many children, but many had no books, no stories. They played outside, but they could not read well. Alara remembered the library. Books change lives. These children need books, Alara decided. A place to read. She found an old bus. A big, yellow bus. It was not used. Alara had an idea. A mobile library. A library on wheels. She talked to the city council. Can I use this bus? She asked. For children. For books. The council agreed. It was a good idea. Alara and some volunteers worked on the bus. They cleaned it. They painted it bright colors. They built shelves inside. Small, strong shelves for books. People donated books. Children's books. Picture books. Storybooks. The bus became a mobile library. Alara drove it to different areas. Children ran to the bus when it arrived. Their eyes were bright. They chose books. They sat in the bus and read. Alara read stories to them. They listened with open mouths. The children learned to love books. They learned to read. Their minds opened. They saw new worlds in books. Alara felt the power of stories. The power of knowledge. When Alara left, children drew pictures of the bus. They gave them to her. A mark of wonder. Books for children. Worlds opened. Alara journeyed to a land of old traditions. People made beautiful crafts. They wove cloth. They carved wood. They made pottery. But they had no way to sell their goods to many people. Their craft was known only in their village. They were poor. Alara saw the beauty of their work. Their craft must be seen, she thought. It must be sold. They need a market. She talked to the craftspeople. Can I help you sell? She asked. How? They replied. We only know our village. Alara explained about bigger markets. About showing their work. She took some samples of their work. Beautiful cloth. Carved birds. She traveled to a big city market. She showed the crafts. People loved them. They had never seen such beautiful things. Alara took orders. She came back to the village. The craftspeople were very busy. They made many things. They earned money. More money than before. They were happy. They built a small shop in their village. People came to buy. Alara helped them learn about pricing. About sending goods. Their traditions became strong. Their craft continued. When Alara left, they gave her a beautifully woven blanket. A mark of art. Craft preserved. Traditions shared. Alara came to a land where many old stories were forgotten. Old people knew the stories. But young people did not listen. The rich history was fading. Alara felt a sadness. These stories must live, Alara thought. They are treasures. She talked to the village elders. Tell me your stories, she asked. The elders were happy. No one had asked them for a long time. Alara listened. She wrote down the stories. Carefully. Stories of heroes. Stories of animals. Stories of the land. She also recorded their voices. So their true voices could be heard. Then, Alara told the stories to the young people. At first, they were not interested. But Alara made the stories exciting. She used different voices. She made gestures. Slowly, young people started to listen. They loved the stories. They asked questions. They wanted to know more. They started to tell stories themselves. To their friends. To their children. The old stories lived again. The culture became strong. The elders smiled. Their knowledge was not lost. When Alara left, the elders gave her a small, carved symbol of a story. A mark of heritage. Stories remembered. Culture alive. Alara walked to a place where many children were sick. They coughed. They had fevers. They had no good doctor nearby. Their parents worried much. Alara felt their fear. These children need help, Alara thought. They need a clinic. A small place for doctors and medicine. She talked to the village leader. A clinic can save lives, Alara said. The leader nodded. But we have no money. No doctors. Alara knew it was hard. But not impossible. She contacted doctors in the city. Can you help? She asked. Some doctors agreed to visit once a week. Volunteers. Alara and villagers cleaned an old hut. It became a small clinic. They got some basic medicines. Simple ones. When the doctors came, many children came. Many mothers. Doctors checked children. They gave medicine. They gave advice. Slowly, children got better. They were not sick so often. Parents were very thankful. The village felt safer. Alara saw the healthy children playing. It was a good sight. When Alara left, a mother gave her a hug. You brought health, she said. A mark of healing. Health for children. Hope for parents. Alara journeyed to a land where houses were small and weak. When big winds came, houses broke. People lost their homes. Alara saw broken wood, broken roofs. People felt hopeless. Houses must be strong, Alara decided. Safe homes for all. She studied local materials. Strong wood, strong earth. She learned how to build houses that could stand against wind. She talked to the villagers. We can build strong houses, Alara said. Together, with good plans. Villagers were scared to try. They had failed before. Alara showed them drawings. She explained step by step. She taught them how to build strong foundations. Strong walls. They worked together. They used new ways. Good ways. They built a new house. It was small, but it was very strong. When the next big wind came, the house stood firm. It did not break. Villagers saw this. They felt hope. They built more strong houses. Slowly, the village became a place of strong homes. Safe homes. People felt secure. They did not fear the winds so much. Alara felt proud. She saw strong, safe houses. When Alara left, the villagers gave her a small, carved model of a strong house. A mark of strength. Safe homes built. Fear replaced by hope. Alara walked to a place where only men worked. Women stayed home. They had no jobs. They had no money of their own. Alara saw talent in the women. They were skilled. They were smart. Women need opportunities, Alara thought. To work, to earn. She talked to the women. What can you do? She asked. Some said they could sew. Some could cook. Some could make small things. Alara helped them start a small sewing group. They used old cloth. They made bags. They made clothes for children. Alara helped them sell their products in the market. People liked their bags. They liked their clothes. Women earned money. They felt proud. They felt independent. They started a small kitchen. They cooked food to sell. The village changed. Women were busy. Women were happy. They helped their families more. They spoke with confidence. Alara saw the women smile. Their eyes shone with new purpose. When Alara left, the women gave her a beautiful, handmade bag. A mark of empowerment. Women working. New strength found. Alara traveled to a place where people were always in a hurry. They worked hard. They earned money. But they were stressed. They had no time for joy. No time for beauty. Alara saw their tired faces. Their busy lives. Life needs joy, Alara thought. Beauty. Music. Art. She remembered the art gallery. The music nights. She talked to some people. Do you like music? She asked. Yes, they said, but no time. Alara found a small, unused park. It was quiet. She talked to the city. Can we make a music space here? The city agreed. Alara and volunteers cleaned the park. They built a small stage. A simple stage for music. Alara invited musicians, local people who played instruments. On the first evening, some people came. They sat and listened. The music was soft. The air was cool. People relaxed. More and more people came each week. They brought food. They brought friends. They listened to music. They talked. They laughed. The park became a place of joy. A place of peace. People found time for beauty. Time for themselves. Alara saw happy faces. Faces that were not stressed. When Alara left, the musicians played a special song. For her. A mark of harmony. Music for peace. Joy for all. Alara journeyed to a land where children had no shoes. Their feet were dirty. Their feet got cuts. It was sad. Alara saw their small feet on the rough ground. Children need shoes, Alara thought. To protect their feet, she knew how to make simple shoes. From strong cloth, from old tires, she talked to the parents. Can we make shoes? She asked. Parents looked surprised. Shoes are expensive, they said. Alara showed them how to cut, how to sew, how to glue. It was not easy, but they learned. Their hands worked carefully. They made many pairs of shoes. Small shoes, different sizes. They gave the shoes to the children. Children looked at their feet. They had shoes. They ran and played. Their feet were safe. Parents were so happy. Their children were protected. Alara saw the children's happy feet. Running, jumping, playing. When Alara left, the children put their new shoes in a line. A mark of protection. Shoes for feet. Safety for play. Alara walked to a place where people were often misunderstood. They spoke a different language. They had different customs. Other people did not know them well. They kept apart. Alara felt the distance. People need to understand each other, she thought. To learn, to share. She talked to both groups. Can we meet? She asked. Can we learn about each other? At first, both groups were shy. They were careful. Alara organized a small gathering. Food, music, simple talks. People came. They sat together. They ate different food. They heard different music. They saw different clothes. Slowly, they started to talk. They asked questions. They learned new words. They learned new customs. They found common things. They found things to like. The barrier between them started to break down. They realized they were all just people. With hopes. With dreams. Alara saw smiles. She saw open hands. She saw friendship. When Alara left, both groups gave her a small, unique gift. A mark of understanding. Bridges built. Hearts connected. Alara traveled to a big area with many old buildings. Some buildings were empty. Some were broken. It looked sad, but these buildings were beautiful once. Full of history. Alara saw their potential. These old buildings can live again, she thought. They can be beautiful, useful. She looked at one very old, big building. It was a market hall, but it was empty and broken. Birds lived there. Alara talked to the city council. Can we fix this market hall? She asked. Bring it back to life? For fresh food, for local goods. The council thought it was too big. Too much work. But Alara was persistent. She showed them how it could be done. She found volunteers. People who loved old buildings. They cleaned. They fixed. They painted. They worked hard. It took many months. But the old market hall became new again. It was beautiful. It was strong. It was ready. Local farmers brought their fresh food. Craftspeople brought their goods. The market hall was full of life. Full of noise. Full of good smells. People came to buy. They came to meet. They came to enjoy. Alara saw the happy market. A place for the community. When Alara left, the market vendors gave her fresh food for her journey. A mark of revival. Old place new. Life returned. Alara found herself in a small, remote village. The houses were simple, made of mud and straw. The people were kind, but their faces showed worry. The main problem was clean water. Their water source was far, and often dirty. Children got sick easily. Alara saw this. Clean water is a must, she thought. It is life. She talked to the village chief. We need a closer, cleaner well, she said. The chief nodded sadly. We tried, but the ground is hard. Alara remembered her past experiences with wells. She knew it was hard, but not impossible. She gathered the strong men and women of the village. They worked together. They dug deep into the earth. Day after day, under the hot sun. Their hands hurt, but their spirits were strong. Alara worked beside them, always encouraging. Finally, after many days, they found it. A gush of cool, clear water sprang from the earth. The villagers cheered with joy. Children ran to drink. They built a strong wellhead, safe and clean. Now, the village had water close to their homes. They had clean water for drinking and cooking. Sickness decreased. Children played with more energy. The village was happier and healthier. Alara felt a deep sense of peace. When Alara left, the chief gave her a small clay pot filled with their new, clean water. A gift of life, he said. A mark of life source. Water brought near health and joy in the village. Alara moved to a land with many hills. The fields were steep, hard to farm. Farmers struggled to grow enough food. The soil often washed away when it rained. Alara saw the steep fields. We need to protect the soil, she realized, and make farming easier. She remembered a technique from a book. Making flat steps on hillsides. Terracing, it was called. It kept soil in place and held water. She talked to a young farmer, named Kai. We can build terraces, Alara explained. Kai was hesitant. It's too much work, he said. Alara showed him drawings. She explained the benefits. More food, less soil loss. Kai decided to try. They started on a small patch of hillside. Digging, moving earth, building small stone walls to hold the soil. It was indeed very hard work. Other farmers watched. They saw Kai and Alara working every day, slowly changing the hill. Some laughed. Some were curious. After weeks, the first terrace was ready. They planted seeds. When the rain came, the soil stayed. The plants grew well. Other farmers saw the success. They came to Alara. Teach us, they asked. Soon, many farmers were building terraces. The hillsides transformed into green steppes. More food grew. The land was stronger. The valley became bountiful. Farmers had plenty to eat, and some to sell. Their families prospered. When Alara left, Kai gave her a basket of fresh vegetables from his terraced field. You taught us to grow, he said. A mark of innovation. Land transformed. Food for many. Alara came to a bustling town. Many people hurried, here and there, but she noticed a common problem: waste. Rubbish was everywhere. No system to manage it. The streets smelled bad. Animals ate from piles of trash. It was an unhealthy and unpleasant sight. Alara felt concerned. We need a clean town, she thought. A healthy environment. She talked to the townspeople. We can sort our rubbish, she suggested. Some can be recycled. Some can be composted. Many people scoffed. Too much trouble, they said. It's always been this way. Alara did not give up. She started small. She placed 2 bins outside her own temporary home. One for organic waste, food scraps, leaves, one for dry waste, paper, plastic. She showed neighbors how to sort. She explained how organic waste could become rich soil for gardens. Slowly, some neighbors started to sort. They saw their small piles of waste shrink. They saw Alara's garden flourish with compost. Alara organized a town cleanup day. Children, young people, and adults joined. They picked up rubbish. They felt proud of their clean town. The town council noticed. They provided more bins. They started a collection system. The town became cleaner. The air smelled fresher. The environment improved. People were healthier and happier. When Alara left, the town mayor presented her with a small, beautifully crafted miniature broom. For making our town shine, he said. A mark of cleanliness. Waste managed. A healthy, beautiful town. Alara journeyed to a place where old houses were falling apart. The wood was rotten. The roofs had holes. Old people lived in these houses. They were too weak to fix them. They felt cold in winter, and wet when it rained. Alara saw the crumbling homes. Everyone deserves a safe home, she thought. A warm, dry place. She talked to the old people. We can fix your houses, Alara offered. They looked surprised, and a little disbelieving. Alara contacted carpenters and builders from a nearby town. She explained the situation. Some kind people offered to help as volunteers. Alara organized the work, fixing roofs, replacing rotten wood, sealing cracks. It was a lot of physical labor. Young people from the village also joined. They learned skills from the carpenters. They worked alongside Alara, feeling a sense of purpose. Slowly, house by house, the homes were repaired. New roofs, strong walls, dry floors. The old people could not believe their eyes. They sat in their warm, dry homes, tears in their eyes. They felt safe. They felt cared for. The village looked brighter. The old houses stood strong again, full of life. When Alara left, an old woman gave her a hand-stitched handkerchief, a family heirloom. You made our homes whole again, she whispered. A mark of repair. Old homes made new. Comfort for the elderly. Alara walked to a quiet area where children had no proper playground. They played in the street, which was dangerous, or in fields with sharp rocks. Parents worried constantly. The children had no safe place to run and jump. Alara observed their games. Children need a safe place to play, she decided. A place just for them. She found an empty, flat piece of land. It was owned by the village. She talked to the village council. Can we build a children's playground here? Alara asked. With swings, slides, and soft ground. The council agreed. It was a good idea, but they had no funds. Alara knew how to get things done. She organized fundraisers. She talked to local businesses for donations of materials. Villagers contributed their time and labor. Men dug foundations. Women helped paint. Alara drew the plans and directed the construction. They built swings with strong ropes. They installed a colorful slide. They brought sand for a soft landing area. They built small benches for parents. The playground was finished. On the opening day, children rushed in, their faces alight with pure joy. They laughed, they screamed with delight. Parents watched, smiling and relieved. The village now had a safe, vibrant place for its youngest members. When Alara left, the children presented her with a handmade card, covered in colorful drawings of the playground. Thank you, Alara, it said. A mark of joy. A safe playground. Laughter for children. Alara traveled to a big town with many businesses, but also many people who had lost their jobs. They were skilled, but the factories closed. They felt lost, without work, without purpose. Their families struggled. Alara saw their sadness and desperation. These people have skills, she thought. They just need new work. She remembered the young people she helped with carpentry. She thought of new trades. She talked to the unemployed workers. What skills do you have? She asked. Many could work with their hands. Many were good at fixing things. Alara proposed a new idea, a community workshop. A place where they could use their existing skills, or learn new ones, to make useful items. She found an old, empty warehouse. The town council allowed them to use it. Alara helped them set up. They brought their old tools. They started fixing broken furniture. They made small wooden toys. They repaired bicycles. Alara helped them find customers. They sold their repaired items. They sold their handmade toys. Slowly, the workshop became busy. People found new pride in their work. They earned money again. The town saw new life. People were no longer idle. They were productive. When Alara left, the workers gathered and gave her a beautifully restored antique clock. You helped us find our time again, they said. A mark of renewal. New work found. Skills empowered. Alara came to a small coastal village. The people depended on fishing. But the fish were scarce. The sea was overfished. Fishermen struggled to feed their families. Their boats lay empty. Despair hung in the air. Alara understood the problem. The sea needs time to heal, she knew. And the fishermen need new ways. She talked to the village elders. We must protect the fish, she said. Let them grow. And we can also farm the sea. The elders were skeptical. Farm the sea? How? They asked. Alara explained about aquaculture, growing oysters, farming seaweed. It was a new idea for them. She showed them how to set up oyster beds, how to cultivate seaweed. It was different from traditional fishing. Some young fishermen were willing to try. Alara worked with them, showing them the ropes. It took patience. It took hard work. But slowly, the oyster beds grew. The seaweed flourished. They harvested oysters and seaweed. They sold them to restaurants on the mainland. It was a new source of income. The traditional fishing slowly recovered as fish stocks replenished. The village had a balance. The sea was healthier. The people were prosperous. Again, Alara saw a sustainable future. When Alara left, the fishermen gave her a pearl, grown in their new oyster beds. A treasure from your wisdom, they said. A mark of balance. Sea nurtured, livelihoods sustained. Alara journeyed through a land where ancient ruins stood. They were beautiful, full of history, but neglected. Tourists passed by, but no one explained the stories of the ruins. The history was slowly forgotten. Alara felt the weight of history. These ruins hold stories, she thought. They need to be shared, preserved. She talked to the local people. Do you know the history of these stones? She asked. Some knew a little. Alara proposed creating a small museum, near the ruins. A place to tell the stories. A place to display artifacts. The idea was met with excitement by some, but also doubt. No money, too much work. Alara, as always, persisted. She found an unused old building. She rallied volunteers. They cleaned the building. They carefully gathered small artifacts found around the ruins. Alara researched the history. She wrote simple, clear explanations. She made maps and drawings. The museum was small, but full of wonder. It told the story of the ancient people. Tourists came. They read the explanations. They saw the artifacts. They learned. Local children came. They learned about their own ancestors. They felt pride. The ruins were no longer just old stones. They were living history. When Alara left, the local historian gave her an ancient coin, found near the ruins. For preserving our past, he said. A mark of heritage. History preserved. Stories told. Alara came to a town struggling with division. People from different backgrounds lived there. They did not trust each other. They did not talk. There was tension. Alara felt the coldness between them. People need to find common ground, she thought. To unite. She believed in the power of shared experiences. Especially through food and festivals. She proposed a unity festival. A day for everyone to share their food, music, and traditions. Both groups were hesitant at first. They had never done such a thing. Alara talked to leaders from both sides. She emphasized peace and understanding. Slowly, they agreed. They started planning. It was a big task. On the day of the festival, people came cautiously. They brought their traditional dishes. They played their traditional music. At first, they sat apart. But Alara encouraged mingling. She introduced people. Someone offered food. Someone else smiled. A child from one group played with a child from another. Slowly, the ice broke. Laughter filled the air. People tasted new foods. They danced to new music. They saw each other not as them, and as, but as neighbors. As friends. The town felt warmer, more connected. The division lessened. When Alara left, people from both groups gathered to thank her, giving her a garland of mixed flowers. You brought us together, they said. A mark of unity. Bridges built. Harmony created. Alara walked to a place where knowledge was locked away. Books were rare. Education was limited. Many bright young minds had no chance to learn. Beyond basic skills, their potential was wasted. Alara felt the yearning for knowledge. Every mind deserves to grow, she believed. To learn. To explore. She thought of the internet, a vast library of information. But the village had no internet. She approached a technology company in a far-off city. Can you help bring internet to a remote village? She asked. For education. The company was intrigued. It was a challenging project. Alara and a team of engineers worked together. They installed a satellite dish. They set up computers in a small, renovated room. It became a knowledge hub. A place where young and old could access information. At first, people were unsure how to use the computers. Alara taught them. They learned to search for information. They learned about the world. They learned new skills. Young students could now access online lessons. Adults could learn new trades. The village was no longer isolated. It was connected to the world's knowledge. Potential bloomed. Young people saw new futures. When Alara left, a young student gave her a hand-drawn picture of a computer with the world globe on its screen. You opened our world, the student said. A mark of enlightenment. Knowledge shared. Futures brightened. Alara continued her journey. The sun was high. The path was long. She knew her work was never truly done. There was always a need. Always a way to help. Her steps were light, her heart full. She carried with her the memories of smiles, of thanks, of changed lives. Each place she went, she left a piece of her kindness. A piece of her strength. A piece of her vision. And in return, she carried away new stories, new lessons, new friends. Her life was a tapestry of positive change, woven with threads of compassion and action. She was a quiet force. A gentle hand. A firm will. The world was vast. The problems were many. But one person, with a good heart, could make a difference. Alara was that person. And her journey continued, leaving marks everywhere. Marks that would last.